Ethan heard it, sharp, desperate, human, but he didn't turn around. He told himself it was none of his business. He told himself that stopping would make him late. He told himself that good people don't always survive by being kind. So he kept walking. 3 steps later, something inside him cracked, because the scream didn't sound like danger alone. It sounded like regret. Ethan stopped, his breath fogged in the cold night air. Every instinct screamed, "Don't look back." He had learned that lesson the hard way. Looking back had cost him jobs, relationships, sleep. Turning around had always meant trouble. Still, his feet refused to move forward. Slowly, painfully, Ethan turned. The alley behind him was dim, wet with rain, and nearly empty, except for a woman pressed against a brick wall, a man towering over her, his voice low and venomous. The woman's eyes met Ethan's for a split second. In them was not hope. It was something worse, acceptance. That look hit him harder than fear ever could. "Hey," Ethan said, his voice shaking despite his size. "Back off." The man turned, annoyed more than threatened. "Keep walking," he snapped. "This ain't your problem." Ethan almost listened. Almost. He didn't feel brave. He felt stupid. His heart hammered like it wanted to escape his chest, but something deeper, older, kept him planted there. "No," Ethan said. "It is." The man hesitated, calculated, then cursed and shoved past Ethan, disappearing into the darkness. The woman slid down the wall, shaking. Ethan stood frozen, suddenly unsure what to do with his hands, his words, his racing thoughts. "Thank you," she whispered. That should have been the end of it. A good deed, a clean moment. It wasn't. That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The woman's eyes haunted him, not the fear, but the acceptance. The look of someone who had already decided no one was coming. It reminded him of himself. Years ago, Ethan had been someone else. He had been the guy who stepped in, spoke up, stayed late, helped without counting the cost, until life taught him a brutal lesson. People take advantage of those who don't walk away. He'd lost money trusting the wrong partner, lost love by forgiving too often, lost himself trying to save others who didn't want saving. So he learned to turn his back. And for a while it worked. He survived, but he didn't live. Days after the alley incident, Ethan started noticing things he had trained himself to ignore. The coworker drowning under impossible deadlines, the old man struggling with groceries, the quiet friend who laughed too loud to hide his pain. Every time he felt the urge to step in, fear followed. Don't get involved. Don't turn around. Protect yourself. One evening, Ethan got a call from his younger brother, Noah. They hadn't spoken properly in months. "I messed up," Noah said, voice breaking. "I really messed up." Ethan closed his eyes, old patterns rushed back. Noah had always been trouble, always needed rescuing. Ethan had promised himself he was done cleaning up other people's chaos. "I can't," Ethan said coldly. "I'm not doing this again." There was silence. Then Noah spoke softly. "Okay, I just didn't know who else to call." The line went dead. Ethan told himself he'd done the right thing. Boundaries were healthy. Walking away was mature. Still, that night, he dreamed of the alley, of turning his back, of screams fading into silence. By morning, guilt weighed heavier than fear ever had. He drove across town to Noah's apartment. The door was unlocked. Inside, the place was a mess. Unpaid bills, empty bottles, despair thick in the air. Noah sat on the floor, head in his hands. "I thought you wouldn't come," he said without looking up. "So did I," Ethan replied. Helping Noah wasn't easy. It cost time, money, patience. There were setbacks, arguments, moments Ethan wanted to walk away and never look back. But slowly, something changed. Not just in Noah, but in Ethan. He remembered who he used to be, who he wanted to be. Weeks later, Ethan passed that same alley again. This time it was quiet, ordinary, harmless. He stopped anyway. Because life, he realized, doesn't always test you with dramatic moments. Sometimes it tests you with chances, small, uncomfortable chances, to turn around when it would be easier not to. Turning your back can protect you from pain, but it can also protect you from purpose. Ethan learned the lesson the hard way. Never turn your back on what your conscience asks you to face. Never walk away just because it's easier. Never ignore a moment that asks you to be more than safe, to be human, because the moments you turn away from may be the ones that could have changed everything.